every time you turn on the news, it just gets more and more depressing, especially with this batshit crazy son of a bitch in the White House, who just, he never had it to begin with, but he's really lost it now. And it's just depressing as shit because they aren't doing anything. Congress isn't going to do shit because the Republicans are supposedly in charge. The Supreme Court's worthless. The media are worthless. And so it's just like, it's all about the unitary executive, basically a dictator. So everything else is basically ineffective. So here's hoping the midterms will set everything, or start to set everything on a sane path, because it's sure getting in a shitter. But even though it, you know, the news is depressing, I was certainly gratified to read about a mystery finally concluding, and in Oregon, that's been a mystery for over 2/3 of a century, and that's the Martin family who lived in the Portland area, and they disappeared in Cascade Locks in 1958. It was they were out on some kind of Christmas related outing, and they ended up over at Cascade Locks, and then they disappeared. And then about a few months later, the two of the three daughters, there was the husband, the wife, and three daughters, two of the three were found downriver a few months later, but the parents and the other daughter were never found. And so there were all kinds of silly damn stories about foul play and all this shit. And all of that was finally debunked. It sounds like it was just a simple accident where there were no barriers where they were parked, and they just went off into the water, and their car got stuck in under 50 feet of water, and they died. But, you know, people yammer about the invasion of privacy and all this shit with investigative genetic genealogy, but, you know, it's been a godsend for these cases that it would never have been solved if it weren't for the technology. But I thought I'd share this story, and it's been in the national news and everything. But authorities have identified the remains of 3 members of an Oregon family who disappeared more than 6 decades ago, bringing new answers to a case that began in 1958. The Oregon State Medical Examiner's Office confirmed the remains of Kenneth Martin, Barbara Martin, and their daughter Barbie Martin following DNA analysis. Investigators found the remains in the Columbia River within the wreckage of the family's car. The Hood River County Sheriff's Office said it has concluded its investigation and found no evidence of a crime. Yeah, and you know, they're finding a lot of these cases where people have disappeared. It was a, you know, it'd be a case like somebody would take off in their car, and then they wouldn't be heard from again. And they're finding more and more of these people are, you know, drove off the road and went into a body of water, and then they weren't found until decades later. So this was one such case. Anyway, the Martin family vanished in December 1958 while reportedly traveling to the Columbia River Gorge to gather Christmas wreath greenery. Months later, searchers discovered the bodies of 2 daughters, Virginia, 13, and Susan, 11, downstream. Despite extensive searches at the time, authorities never located Kenneth, Barbara, or their oldest daughter, Barbie, who was 14. And there was all kinds of shit, you know, because they had a son that was in the service, and he was an adult, His name was Donald, and he passed away some years ago. And there were just these stupid theories that he was somehow involved in their disappearance. It's just a bunch of bullshit. It was just a cut and dried car accident is all it was. And then I'll just conclude this. The case saw renewed attention in November 2024 when diver Archie Mayo claimed to have discovered the old station wagon in a part of the river known as the Pit. The vehicle was submerged in 50 feet of water. It was upside down and buried, nose first, under sediment and rock. And yeah, I'll share this article and one from CBS. But isn't that great that that finally was solved? It's too bad they didn't have the technology at the time that they could have gone in and taken care of it. But anyway, yeah, genetic genealogy is just great that they're able to identify people. And not just genetic genealogy, but just the simple DNA in this case. So that is all I have to say. It's nice to have some good news, although, you know, I don't know how many relatives are still alive from this family. But just think about all these old cases finally being solved. It's just amazing to me. So anyway, that's all I have to say for right now.